In our ever-connected world, we feel the need for speed. When the 5G rollout hit the fast track, it may have bypassed the science of some real concern. What is the most important thing you think people should know about the STOP study?
We've now looked at all the evidence, and we think that there is, quote, clear evidence of cancer. Why was the plug pulled? You'll have to ask them.
This week, we do ask about the possible dangers of wireless radiation.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
Richard Nixon, 50 years ago, he started the war on drugs with just over 6,000 deaths in this country. We had 107,000 people die last year from fentanyl poisoning.
And we take a look at the war that's lasted a half century and outlasted 9 presidents.
Have we failed?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to call it a war. Wars end, and this has not.
And a look at a battle we should all get behind. Can you scratch beyond the surface and say why it's important beyond that to have a healthy immune system?
It's not just the colds and the flu and these things, but it goes so much deeper than that.
A few tips on creating a bulletproof immune system. Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Sharyl Attkisson. The newest technology that powers our smartphones is 5G, the 5th generation of wireless cellular technology that's supposed to make things work better and faster. Before it was deployed around 2019, there were global calls for a pause from some governments, activists, and scientists until the health impacts could be studied. But that didn't happen. And earlier this year, a big government study on the possible danger of wireless radiation was abruptly halted midstream. Today, we hear from both sides as to what might be going on. EMF, electric and magnetic fields, are invisible areas of energy or radiation produced by items like electric appliances, computer screens, and cell phone technology. But as technology has leapt forward, there are nagging safety questions. When it comes specifically to cell phones, which emit radio frequency microwave radiation, there is a new controversy: important safety research under the National Institutes of Health that was suddenly cut off.
The national program had committed major resources and millions of dollars to doing a study that would clarify some of the mechanisms of how microwave radiation affects the cell. And the plug was pulled on that for reasons that nobody knows.
Deborah Davis is a professor of medicine who's been warning about the health risks of cell phones for 16 years. In 2008, she was behind issuing a memo at the University of Pittsburgh Cancer Institute's Center for Environmental Oncology, where she was founding director. It advised the cancer doctors not to carry phones in their pockets or close to their bodies. The new government research, now halted, was to further investigate how cell phone microwave radiation impacts behavior and stress and how it damages DNA. When you heard that the plug was pulled, what went through your mind?
I wanted to figure out what was behind it, and I had my suspicions. This industry has been very effective, more effective than the tobacco industry, because of course it's a very valuable industry, and nobody would deny that microwave radiation has revolutionized our ability to communicate and to send missiles into space and to send drones into battlefields. However, there's no question in my mind, and that of hundreds of other experts in this field, we should keep microwave radiation out of our bedrooms and our homes.
Before the research was terminated, it had already produced worrisome results. Researchers concluded there was clear evidence that high levels of cell phone radiation caused male rats to develop cancerous heart tumors. And there were significant increases in DNA damage in the brains of male mice and rats and blood cells of female mice. Davis says an important board of government advisors said the research should continue moving forward. What is the most important thing you think people should know about the STOP study?
They brought in these reviewers, and here's what the reviewers said. We've now looked at all the evidence, and we think that there is, quote, clear evidence of cancer. That was what the study found. That is why the board recommended an additional program of research. Why was the plug pulled? You'll have to ask them.
We asked, but the National Institutes of Health declined to answer our questions. The agency referred us to a statement that said there would be no further research because it was technically challenging and more resource intensive than expected. In this full measure report 5 years ago, we spoke with Professor Martin Pall, one of the world's preeminent scientists on the topic.
We know that the EMFs impact the cells of our bodies, all the cells of our bodies, by activating some channels. And when they do that, they produce all kinds of effects. And those include neurological, neuropsychiatric effects, they include reproductive effects, they include oxidative stress, which is involved in essentially all chronic diseases. So I'm deeply concerned about this situation.
Is it your feeling that mobile phone use and 5G in the future have been and are causes of chronic disease epidemics in this country?
I believe that the exposures we already have are producing major effects already on our health, and that 5G will be vastly worse than anything that we are already exposed to.
At least 3 expert medical groups have linked certain kinds of electromagnetic fields, or EMFs, to cancer, particularly childhood leukemia. The U.S. National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, a working group under the World Health Organization, and a European scientific committee, which studied cell phones in particular. Paul says there's more to worry about.
What's been shown is you get depression, I can't sleep, I'm tired all the time, I'm depressed, I've got headaches, I can't concentrate, I'm anxious. All the things that everybody complains about now, we know are caused by EMF exposures. And not just one type, but multiple types of EMF exposures.
Since that report in 2019, there have been more concerns. Some scientists noted that the COVID pandemic in Wuhan, China, and New York City broke out months after the rollout of 5G. And while many dismissed any connection as a conspiracy theory, a 2021 study found wireless communication radiation may have been a toxic environmental cofactor with COVID-19 that can contribute to hypercoagulation or blood clotting, amplify immune system dysfunction and hyperinflammation, worsen heart arrhythmias and cardiac disorders, and more. There is another side. The wireless industry says that based on scientific data currently available, it has not determined that RF energy from wireless phones causes health risks. And it points to government agencies like the FDA and FCC that agree adverse events have not been definitively proven. We spoke with Christopher Collins about the government's halted research. So people watching from the outside who are looking for answers to this might reasonably ask the question, was it showing something negative about 5G, and is that why, for some reason, somebody convinced them to stop it? What would you say to that?
That's interesting. I don't think that's the case. I think that
Collins is a professor of radiology at New York University and has been a paid consultant to the wireless industry.
And yes, it's more than one study that shows that there's an adverse effect, and people who are worried about cell phones will look at all the studies that say there are an adverse effect and say, well, there's hundreds of studies that say there are adverse effects. But the thing is that generally the studies that say there's an adverse effect are either not reproducible or have not been reproduced by, say, independent groups, or they're clearly a thermal effect.
So it's my understanding the FDA said some years ago, and Congress pushed the industry on this point, that there should be studies done to try to determine more about 5G. If that's the case, what do you think the next step should be?
That's an interesting question. I mean, if you ask me personally, I think that trying to do more careful epidemiological studies probably makes more sense than higher radiation levels in animals. If the energy levels, the power levels from these things are really very low compared to what we use in medicine and compared to what you get from the sun. In terms of what to do if you are worried about it, I mean, there are options for using your speakerphone or some other things. So if you want to avoid using your cell phone, you can do that.
That raises at least one burning question. Does an American population addicted to its cell phone habit even care? Even if a huge segment of the American public became convinced with hard data that this was harmful to be exposed to this radiation, wouldn't there be a large number of people that would just say, I'll take my chances, I don't really care?
Well, certainly. But let me just say this. It's not that hard to reduce exposures directly. There are simple things that could be done tomorrow. You could make phones and routers that go to sleep except when you need them to wake up. Now, in your home, your router's on 24/7. You're not using it 24/7, or if you have teenagers that are trying to, you should cut it off. But in fact, it's very simple to program the software of these devices right now. It's not rocket science.
Interesting.
Think about this. When France banned the iPhone 12 for sales, within 2 weeks, the iPhone company had figured out how to change software on those phones so that the phones would then pass the French tests. It's not that hard.
While one arm of the government stopped its research on wireless radiation, the National Science Foundation announced it would spend $25 million in tax money to enhance 5G operations in the military, federal government, and critical infrastructure sectors. Ahead on Full Measure, finding a new way to fight illegal drugs. By most measures, America's war on drugs has been an abysmal failure. From our biggest cities to rural areas, fentanyl, meth, and even a powerful modern version of marijuana have captured a generation, sparking mental illness, crime, and homelessness. Lisa Fletcher reports from New York's Hudson Valley, where officials are still trying to crack the code.
On patrol with the Village of Liberty Police Department.
134556.
With 5,000 residents in the Catskill Mountains, we're about 90 minutes from New York City.
And this is just a small little urban area right in the middle of it.
Steve DeGatta has spent his entire police career here. He became chief in 2021 and has 18 sworn officers.
What's your biggest problem here?
Biggest problem is crime and the related issues surrounding the opioid epidemic.
And how has the opioid crisis impacted your community here?
So most acutely is the deaths. We have Sullivan County, the county we're in, has the highest overdose death rate per capita in New York State.
That death rate from opioid overdoses was 46.4 deaths per 100,000 people in 2021, well above the statewide average for that year.
The officers go on the calls, they respond to the dead bodies, they do the follow-up investigations. It's a lot.
Did it take its toll on your guys?
Absolutely, yeah. We unfortunately very recently had a tragic overdose death of a 16-month-old.
That death, prosecutors say, caused when the baby's parents were smoking fentanyl and passed out, leaving drugs accessible to the toddler, who died of an apparent overdose. According to the CDC, in 2022, 107,941 people died of a drug overdose in the United States, and almost 70% of those deaths were caused by synthetic opioids, like fentanyl. America's problem with drug addiction, trafficking, and the crime it generates goes back much further. In 1971, President Nixon famously declared a war on drugs.
America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
Since then, federal tax dollars have poured in to deal with the problem and target drug users, dealers, and the major trafficking gangs. The federal government alone spent nearly $45 billion last year on drug control.
Since 1971, we've spent $1 trillion as a country fighting the war on drugs. From where you're sitting, have we failed?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to call it a war. Wars end, and this has not.
The chief says he's learned that we can't just arrest our way out of the drug problem. And increasingly, national leaders are also trying new approaches.
Work the weight, work the weight. There we go.
In 2018, President Trump signed criminal justice reform to free thousands serving sentences for nonviolent drug offenses. On Capitol Hill, members of both parties have been looking for new ideas.
Richard Nixon, 50 years ago, he started the war on drugs with just over 6,000 deaths in this country. We had 107,000 people die last year from fentanyl poisoning, and unfortunately, many of them are young and they're getting younger.
Members have heard from police and federal law enforcement representatives that the fentanyl crisis requires more resources and going after the money flowing back to Mexico, where gangs control production and distribution, and China, where many fentanyl ingredients are made and exported.
Drug cartels use precursor chemicals sourced by China to manufacture pills that are intentionally made to look like prescription medications like OxyContin, Percocet, and Xanax. The Drug Enforcement Administration estimates that of these fake pills, 40 to 60% of them are often bought on social media and are laced with a deadly dose of fentanyl.
Some now want the government to declare fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. Former convict and drug dealer Jason DeFord, a.k.a. the rapper Jelly Roll, also testified, saying he is now on a mission to speak out about the fentanyl crisis.
The story of the cartel sending drugs to America is a tale as old as time. It's just not as deadly as it is right now, because to your point, people aren't overdosing because they're doing too much. People are overdosing because they're doing a little.
In the Village of Liberty, the chief has signed his department up for a program that tries to take a more pragmatic approach, called Hope, Not Handcuffs. It promises treatment and support to anyone who walks into the police department.
Law enforcement has decided that our sole purpose is not law enforcement to enforce the criminal codes, but rather to take a holistic approach to public safety and in appropriate times connect people with resources to actually get better as opposed to just putting them in jail.
Police officers are trained in part to be warriors. Is this a hard sell for some of your officers?
I try and instill a culture where they see people as people, they have a heart, they're empathetic, they understand that everyone is someone's mother, brother, sister, father, and they treat them how they would want their family treated.
So while the strategy they're using here isn't new and can't solve the problems, it is, they believe, making a positive difference at the time of crisis. For Full Measure, I'm Lisa Fletcher in the Village of Liberty, New York.
So what is the administration doing to stop the flow of fentanyl into the country?
Well, President Biden's 2024 budget called for more than $300 million in detection systems at the border to detect drugs when they were coming in at points of entry. He also struck a deal with China to try to stop the flow of chemicals to the Mexican cartels. That in and of itself probably isn't going to do much, but we are going to hear a lot more about the border and drugs in the upcoming presidential campaign. Former President Trump says he thinks he can use special forces to go up against the Mexican cartels.
Fascinating. Ongoing problems. And coming up, how to build a bulletproof immune system. Scientists are gaining new insight into the human immune system after the COVID experience. But far beyond COVID, our immune system factors into everything from chronic disease to cancer. Christina Carmen is a functional medicine practitioner who speaks on how to build a bulletproof immune system. When people hear about the immune system, I think typically they may say, gosh, I need my immune system to be healthy so I don't catch a bad cold or this flu doesn't turn into something serious. Can you scratch beyond the surface and say why it's important beyond that to have a healthy immune system?
Absolutely. So the prevalence of allergies and food insensitivities and intolerances is enormous now. And a lot of this comes down to the fact that our immune resiliency isn't there, or it isn't what it used to be. What's in our home environment? What are we eating? What are we consuming constantly that's actually putting the stress on the body? And when the body's in a stress state, we know that that will lower our immune response. It will affect your gut microbiome, which is the epicenter of our immune cells.
What else does it do when you have a healthy immune system? I know now immune problems are associated with cancer.
Absolutely.
Immune problems are associated with, just chronic tiredness and all kinds of problems.
All kinds of, but type 2 diabetes, we look at cardiovascular presentation, autoimmune-driven diseases are all immune related, and this is where it becomes so, so important that we're looking after the immune system. So it's not just the colds and the flu and these things, but it goes so much deeper than that.
People watching this will want to know if you have any like short hits tips for these things.
We start with hydration. I would look at making sure that you're consistently drinking water throughout the day. Then when it comes to obviously diet, eliminating those sugars as much as possible. Again, we talk about this so much, but we're not doing it. So eliminating the sugars, eliminating the processed foods as much as possible. When it comes to sleep, obviously, gets very complex, but it's not something that we prioritize. But we know now there's so much evidence on all of our body's processes, all of the regeneration, all of the digestion, the resetting happens when we sleep. Obviously, movement is a very tricky one for many people, and it's a personal experience, and it's not a one-shoe-fits-all.
There are explosions of immune disorders and new immune disorders, whether we're talking about juvenile diabetes, which used to be unheard of, POTS, Crohn's, juvenile Crohn's, which again used to be unheard of, almost unheard of. Will the healthy immune system allow people to fight off a disease that you may not even understand your body could fight off?
Potentially. I mean, I think it gets a little bit more complex than that, obviously, but one of the things that we really see, certainly within my field and within naturopathic medicine, is our toxic burden is really impacting the immune resiliency. And this is why often we see so much more of these illnesses and diseases maybe happening younger and feels much more common practice or commonplace.
And if there's a takeaway people have, if they listen to you talk and they remember one thing about it or they get one important message, what would be something you would want them to remember?
Simple, consistent, and varied when it comes to your diet, the way that you move, the way that you approach all of those things that look after your body and support your body. Keep it simple, but keep it consistent.
Scientists aren't sure why people's immune systems often weaken with age, but there's ongoing research looking for clues as to how to rejuvenate immunity at any age. After a break, what's ahead next week on Full Measure? Coming up next week on Full Measure, we examine the alarming spike in serious crimes committed by children. When I looked at the mugshots, one of the kids in particular, he looked like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
His face just looked so young.
I looked in the eyes of the mother of that 12-year-old, and it broke my heart down deep inside.
America's disturbing juvenile crime wave next week on Full Measure. Until next time, we'll be searching for more stories that hold powers accountable. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Sharyl Attkisson.